So, we're here with another episode of Sandmans Tattertime. I know it's been a while since I've had a video out, lads and lasses. Got a few bits and bobs going on in my personal life, this, that and the other, but that's another story entirely. However, just prior to stopping making the videos, the next video that was going to come out was going to be a one called the Bagnell Bar. Here's one here. The bar was designed by a gentleman down in Christchurch Anglican Centre called Tom Bagnell. Give him a bell one day, it was quite a while ago, asked him if I had some permission to do this video on his design. He's fine with it, so here we are. What I'm down here at the Hall for in Sandmans Hall Beach is just to show you how it goes through the air, etc, etc. Do a little bit of a cast and say it perform that way. We'll then go back home, I'll show you how we make it. It's pretty straightforward, so we'll get this blasted out, we'll crack on with making one. Right, and so I'm back home, as you can see, out the way of that wind that was starting to blow a little bit too much down at Sandmans Hall Beach. I'll apologise for my voice a little bit, I've got a flu off the daughter, so my mouth's like Gandhi's flip-flops, so I've got a cup of tea here. Anyway, back to the cast that you saw down there. As you saw, I was using the high inertia and the full pendulum, and with both casts, the Bagnell bar stood up to the test, no problem whatsoever, no opening up of the loops, absolutely faultless, it was brilliant. I do hear that because the Bagnell bar is rigid, obviously, it does improve distance slightly. Take it from me, I'm not the biggest caster in the world, but yesterday that was going out mighty fine, absolutely fantastic. So no problems there at all. Anyway, just before we build this rig, we'll have to hear on to a few emails, a couple of little bits of tips I've got there for you through emails and stuff like that. And we'll get them out the way and then we'll go on and I'll show you how to build this rig. So we'll be right back with a few emails. Right, and so the emails. One of the most common emails I ever get asked is, Paul, where do you get your 316 grade 1.6mm stainless steel TIG weld nuts from? I get asked that question a lot. Personally, I do not like to buy 316 grade from eBay or any auction site for that matter. I like to have it in my hand first before I buy it, and I'll explain to you why. The only company that I know of is a company called Laingate. That's Laingate, L-A-A-N-G-A-T-E. They were based in Pallion in Sunderland, but they've relocated down into Middlesbrough. So if you go onto Google, I'm not sure of the address, but if you go onto Google and type in Laingate, you'll find them from there. They have a lot to do with Nexus products. Good company, very good company. The reason I use that, yes, it's a bit of a trail for me, going from there to Middlesbrough, from where we live. I don't even know if they do me a lot, I presume they would do, but the reason I like to go down for is because I like to get the feel in my hands. And sometimes when you get it off eBay, I've heard other people have bought it off eBay and say, Paul, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? And it's soft. And there's nothing worse than when you get a full tube. I mean, here's a tube here. There it is there. I think I paid about 55 quid for this. I'll take the cap off. That's 5 kilos right there. And there's nothing worse than when you go down and, or you've bought it off eBay, and it's come through, and it's soft, it's very pliable, and you're thinking, this isn't really what I wanted. This, you know, I would never in a million years trust that to do a sinker top, rotten bottom rigs, any sort of clip, anything. Not when it's soft. So what I tend to do is I take a pair of pliers with us, or ask them if I could borrow a pair of pliers, if they don't mind cracking a tube open. And all you have to do is just, there's a piece there, get a hold of the end, put it in your ply and listen. That's what you want to hear. Click. just as if it's snapping. That means it's not too brittle, but it's not soft. Now when it's soft, you won't get that. It'll just like the pliers will just slice through it. It feels soft to the touch, which to me is that it's got one use, and that's grip wise. That's the only thing I would ever use it for. Like I say, I would never in a million years use it for rotten bottoms or sinker tops, anything like that. Not when it's too soft. So for me, I don't really favour eBay to buy the stainless steel 1.6mm 316 grade. I always like to go and hold it in person. And let's face it, you can pay anywhere, what, 50 quid a tube up to, I don't know, 60, it fluctuates all the time. When you're paying that kind of money for a tube, you want it right. And the last thing you want to say is, oh, I'm getting this tube and it's no good. You're going to be sitting there, you've wasted £55, you're as sick as a puff with piles, and now you've got to go all the way back down or get back on the phone, mail order, send that one back and get another one and hope that the next one's alright. So for me, try and test it before you buy it, and then you'll know that it's alright. Another size that I use is when I'm doing these bait loaders. I've been sending a lot of these out through the post. I hope you're all getting them and you're liking them, but these are made from 2.4mm 316 grade. Exactly the same thing, just 2.4mm. Very strong, very rigid. I like that stuff a lot. It's the same price. It really is. Comes in a 5 kilo tube. And just obviously you don't get as many strands as what you would with the 316 grade. The other stainless steel that I use, I've got some out in front of us here. One of the viewers sent us this, and it had super strong 316 grade stainless steel welding rods on it, and I got it. And I have never ever in my life seen stainless steel as strong as that. I swear to God, that must have been used to weld the Millennium Falcon together off Star Wars. That I don't know how he's getting it or what, but it is super strong, unbelievable. I would never use it in grip sinkers or nothing like that. It's you probably pull a ship in with it. I mean, the other stuff for grip sinkers is strong enough, but that is unbelievably strong. So I haven't found a use for it yet, but I'll definitely think of something. The next stainless steel that I use is this one here. This is called 16 gauge. Now, more commonly, you'll probably have seen 18 gauge that you see in your local tackle shops. I mean, there's a lot of tackle shops out there sell it. I think all the tackle shops in our area sell 18 gauge. But 16 gauge, truth be known, I've only ever seen 16 gauge in Rutherford's Angling. I'm not just saying that because he's a good pal of mine. That's the truth. I've never seen it in any other tackle shop. And that's, I mean, and I've been in a few tackle shops, not just in my local area, all over the place. I've never seen 16 gauge before. 16 gauge, what would I use that for? Summer gear. So you don't really want to go up to 316 grade for the likes of your Gemini clips or your links and bits and bobs like that, or your booms, stuff like that. You can come lighter gear. So you're fishing the river and you're coming right the way down, so you're no longer using 6 or 7 ounce sinkers, you're just using 2 and 3 ounce sinkers, maybe 4 ounce pyramids, whatever. You can come right down, and that's what I use this for. And plus it makes awesome wires for the Sputniks. I don't know if you can remember the Sputnik leads that I makes awesome wires for that. Not too strong, but just nice. Especially when you sit like the river way and you've got a big tide pull going on and sometimes it pulls you right round. These really do bed in lovely and they just sit there nice. So that's another one that I use. But most commonly, like you see, there's a few that I've already cut. These are already for grip wires. I cut them to 7 inches long. That there is the good old 316 grade 1.6mm welding rods right there. I keep them like this on a regular basis because they're ready just to go into grips straight away like that. So for me, quickly, just briefly on the last thing on stainless steel, it's all about safety. The last thing you want is your gear failing you, and you clout somebody in the back of the head, or you've gone through somebody's car with a sinker because you cut a corner somewhere. For me, it's not an option. It's 316 grade, probably a wee over the top for what us anglers need, but like I say, I'd rather be over the top than underneath, and stick with that. Pay the money, 316 grade all the way. Right, one of the other emails that I get asked quite regular is about cart. I'm not sure that cart's such a big thing down south as what it is in the northeast of England. I could be wrong on that. It just seems that every time I get a question, it seems to be somebody from down south. And the question is, when I use cart, what do I use to prepare my cart? These about, it's a finger bandage plus an applicator. From boots, they're about £2.50 for 4 metres. So what's that, 13, 14 foot, somewhere around there. I simply tie a knot in the end. I fill it with the cart. tie the knot on the other end, freeze them, and that's it. That's it. Into a food flask, and when you go fishing, you pour it on from stuff like that. Have I ever put cart wings inside of one of them? The answer is no. I just simply tie a cart wing straight onto the hook. That's the way I've always done it. It's always worked for me. So I don't favour it for that. But everything else, I've used tights. I've used that PVA mesh stuff, which doesn't seem to last 5 minutes. I've used a few different bits and bobs, but I always seem to go back to the same one. It's the finger bandage out of boots, or finger bandage from wherever you can buy it. If you think it's washing out too quick, you could always double it up, so put a finger bandage inside a finger bandage if you like. But that's what I've always used, so that's where I would stick with the finger bandages. What plies do I use? There they are there. These are 140mm dropper round nose plies, and these are the holy grail. I've got about half a dozen pairs of round nose plies. Whenever I'm doing any clips, Gemini clips, links, rotten bottoms, sinker tops, these are the holy grail for me. These and a good set of plies, or if you can get them, NCB plies for when you're cutting the 316 grade. I never use that part of it, of the plier. I always use that part there. It just boom straight through, no problems whatsoever. So I hope that answers your question. They were $11.99 on eBay, which are called 140mm dropper round nose plies, or internal circuit plies, or is it external? It's one of the two, but they're a circuit ply, and they do the job absolutely fantastic. The one that you want to keep away from is that you can get round nose plies, and you get them where they can go very, very long, up to 200mm. Keep away from them, because when you ever put 316 grade in, the jaws just bend. The 316 grade is just too much of them. But with them being very short, only 140mm, very, very strong, stumpy and strong. So eBay, $11.99, somewhere around there. Right, so this is the last one on the emails. Am I still using braid, whether it be on a multiplier or a fixed spool? Yes and no. I'm using braid these days for a couple of purposes only. Number one, heavy ground. I'm using braid on heavy ground so I can bully my way out of trouble, whether it be kelp or heavy rock, whatever, so I can bully my way back out of trouble. Especially like the likes of Bessie's Hole or something like that. The rock that's off Bessie's Hole is unbelievable. The Hall Beach where we were shooting the video earlier on, again, that's starting to turn up with a lot of rock, so I would probably favour braid for there. Another place I would use braid for is on, say, the Tyne or the Weir. I'm using braid on there, especially when you're flatty bashing. You have to flounder, whatever, you know, place, whatever. And I like it for there, for the lighter stuff. And last but not least, if you're spinning for mackerel, whether you're using flies or spinners, I'm using braid for that. Like you say, I've got a little a Shimano 5000 bait runner here, and I've got a Daiwa Linear tournament here. This one's loaded up with a 20-pound Saratoga. This one's loaded up with 30-pound spider wire. And then the only other way I use braid is if it's on the boat. This guy here is loaded up with 70-pound Spectra straight through, and that's all I use braid for these days. General fishing, for me, I've gone back to mono, and the reason being is I just seem to be bumping off a lot more fish than what I was using prior to the change. And you sit there and you ask yourself the question, why did I change off mono? I was doing all right on it. I was getting the odd fish here and there. I was doing okay. This was happening, that was happening. Did the mono break? Was it starting to fray? Was it starting to do this? Was it starting to do that? No. The chances are you've been in your local tackle shop, you've heard somebody talk about braid, or you've been online, people are talking about braid, and you think, oh, I'll give it a try. And rightfully so. No problem with that whatsoever. But then for me, I started to bump fish off, and I just couldn't hook into them. I'd drop my hook size, I would try this, I would try that, and this, that, and the other. And my catch was just deteriorating. I've never been a top fisherman to start with, but it was getting really, really bad. So I went back to mono, ka-ching, it starts happening, stuff like that. So that's my view on braid. I'm still using it on a multiplier. I've heard people come to say it's biting in, stuff like that. Braid will bite in unless you follow a couple of simple rules. If you want to go out and get the top end braid, if you're going to go out and use, let's say, spider wire or Bertie Whiplash, and you're going to go out and put 20-30 pound braid on, yes, it will bite in on itself. Absolutely no doubt about it. Hence why I use Saratoga. And I might use Saratoga, it'll be 50, 60, 70 pounds straight through. That will not bite in, unless you're really, really giving it some. It'll not bite in itself. I've used it for time again. It's absolutely fine. Here other people turn around and say, it'll take your thumb off, it'll take your thumb off. Been using it a long time, I've still got all of mine. But I hear what you're saying, There's no stretch, there's no giving it. Right, well, let's look at another scenario, right? We've got yourself 7,000 rare. You're fishing heavy ground, you're blasting it out, and you've got this loaded up with £35 Bertie big game, for argument's sake. Would that take your thumb off? Bloody tour, right, it would. No doubt about it. I think what you've got to look at is just have a little bit common sense, treat with a bit of respect, everything will be alright. That's all I've ever done, just treat with a bit of respect. If you're going to abuse it and it bites you in the arse, well, you've asked for it. That's the way I look at it. But keep in mind, Bertie big game can be just as strong as braid. If you know what I mean. It's Bertie big game, I'm just using that for instance, you know, I use blue marlin as well. That's good, strong mono. But they could all take your finger off in the wrong circumstances. And I hope that none of you go down that road. Anyway, I've blabbed on far too long enough. Let's crack on, let's get this Bagnell bar made. Right, the Bagnell bar, let's get this done. What tools do you need to do the job? Universal pliers, the Holy Grail pliers, the round nose 140mm round nose circular pliers, half decent pair of nail clippers. Just want to hear on these briefly, these nail clippers. I don't know if you've seen them before, but 100% stainless steel. They're in your local pound shop. That's where I got these from, Poundland or Pound World, wherever it is. Extremely sharp, 100% stainless steel, so they'll never rust. I'll have a few pairs of them for my tackle box, so get yourselves down to the pound shop. Pound well spent. The gear that we're going to use to make this bar today. Here I've got a piece of 316 grade 1.6mm stainless steel TIG welding rod, which I've cut down to 10 inches. I've seen these bars as big as 24 inches and I've seen them as small as 6 inches. I've had a bit play about with different lengths of it. For me, I thought 10 inches was probably just about the right size, in my personal opinion. You might want them a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, but whatever. Here we've got one and it's going to be 10 inches long. Let's crack on and make this. First of all, get your round nose pliers. Pop your 1.6mm roughly halfway up the shaft and make a nice loop. As you've seen me do time and time again. There you go. Just while I'm here, the little bits and bobs that we're going to use on this rig is, in this case we're using an imp. That's a 280 brake and strain swivel. That's a couple of 100 brake and strain power swivels. That's a cascade swivel and 5mm beads. You can use a bigger bead if you want. There's an 8mm bead there, but you know, by the time you put them onto the bar like that, it's not good, it really isn't it? I mean, for me they're too big. I like to try and keep it like as aerodynamic as possible, so that's where I am with that. Anyway, so we've made that loop on the end of that bar. We're now going to pop on that big power swivel, so you've got that like that. I'll nip that in and make that a nice loop at the end so it doesn't fall off. You have now got that. Now going to the other end, we're going to start popping these beads on. There's no rocket science in this whatsoever. So get one of your 5mm beads. Sometimes it can be a little bit tight, so I'll just give them a little tap with the pliers and you'll see it slide over. There it goes. So you've now got that. Followed by one of your little swivels. You don't have to use these power swivels. I'm just a big fan of them. I think they're fantastic, so that's why I use them. Pop yourself another 5mm bead on. So you're now there. Now it's time for your springs. So you can get the people ask the questions, where do you get your springs from? You get springs from several different places, eBay and bits and bobs like that. But for me, clipper lighters or certain disposable lighters. I've heard lads using pen springs and bits and bobs like that, but if you get a clipper lighter and certain disposable lighters, pop out the flint part and voila, you have found a spring. Pop off the little white bit on the end and just look. You'd think it was made to measure. The internal diameter of that spring must be exactly 1.6mm because it fits on there like a glove. Happy days. However, while I'm there, I'm jumping the gun a bit. If you can't find springs, here's another alternative. It's called silicone tubing. So there it is there. Comes like that. Cut yourself a little length of silicone tubing and plonk it on. There you go. It'll work just as well. Silicone tube. Right, so you're now there. Get another 5mm bead and pop that on at the bottom. Strange because some of these fit straight on and there's some of them just need talking to the right way. There you go, you know there. Right, another bead. There's no hair around this one. Story of my life. And there we go. That's lovely. Just slide that up a little bit. Another swivel. Last but not least, one more bead. And there we go. So you've now roughly got that. Now we're going to grab these little fellas out, we'll push them up out the way because we're now going to finish this rig off with another loop here because we need to tie this all in together. So just repeat what you've seen us do at the top, just make another loop, get your universal plies, make sure it's all nice and straight. Cascade swivel, in this case we're using a cascade swivel. You can use other bits and bobs of terminal tackle on the bottom. I will show you some templates that I've already made to show you if you don't like imps. Personally I think they're fantastic, but there's some people out there that don't like them or not too keen on them. Anyway, in this case that Bagnell bar is complete. Imp 5mm bead, power swivel 5mm bead, 5mm bead, spring 5mm bead, power swivel 5mm bead, heavy power swivel. That Bagnell bar is now complete and ready to rock and roll. Now, just briefly, if you are not too keen on using an imp on the end, there's one there with a Gemini splashdown on. There's a one, I know these aren't complete, I've just put these like this just for photographic purposes. There's one there with a rotten bottom. Another design of rotten bottom, or rather just a different colour. There's an angel clip. There's a standard link. And there's a Gemini clip. So if you wanted, you could put any of these on the bottom of your Bagnell bar to suit your style of fishing. Especially rotten bottoms if you're fishing some heavy ground, bits and bobs like that. Whatever you like. So that's it, the Bagnell bar's done. So what we'll do now is I'll come straight back, I'll go and get some mono and I'll come straight back and I'll show you how I attach the hook, stud, etc, etc, with this to be ready to be used for fishing. So I'll get some mono sorted out, I'll be straight back and we'll get this done. Right, and so the mono. If I was using this Bagnell bar for my own personal use, I'd be using this type of mono, like the Oblivion or the Yuki Invisible. Huge fans of these two, I think they're absolutely fantastic. But as you noticed, they're transparent and on a white background for photographic purposes, you wouldn't say it too good. So today, we're going to use this fella here, which is, I'll straighten that out a bit, it's £25 Black Amnesia. Now how that's a little bit better. So we'll use that just for photographic purposes. Anyway, starting off with the mono in your hand. Get the end and nip it between your finger and your thumb, like that. Arm fully out to the left, turn your head to the right and to the tip of your nose. That's the way I always do it. Trim that off. You've got that. Put that to one side. You do not need that for the time being. We've got this other little bit. Again, I'll just straighten out a bit. Very springy, this stuff. Right, so we've now got this bit. Get your cascade swivel and the smallest little loop in your cascade swivel. We're going to do the good old knot. So you pull that through 4 to 5 inches. 1, 2, 3. Through the bottom. Maintaining that loop. 1, 2, 3. To there. Apply gob oil. There applies just to hold that in place. And nip this up. Here it goes. You should now have this. I'll just quickly trim off that end, like so. It should be there. Very neat and tidy. Right then, what we're going to do now is go back to the Bagnell bar and I'm quickly going to put on a sinker on the bottom. So it's held like that. Grab your cascade swivel and pop that through the end like so. Run the mono down the shaft, like you can see, and as soon as you hit the top of the bait clip on the imp, that's where you need to stop. So you've got a hold of it there, pulling it down, pulling it down, pulling it down. Here's the imp coming up, right there. right there. That's the way I do my measurements. So we stop right there and trim that off. That's where you need to be now. Get your hook. I noticed that there's no point on this hook, it's just for safety reasons. I lost count the amount of times I've stabbed myself. Pull that through and repeat the knot. 1, 2, 3. Maintain your loop. 1, 2, 3. To there. And there we have it. Trim off the excess. You should now have that. Now then, if I've done my maths right, I should be able to get the cascade swivel, pop that in there like so, bring down the hook onto there, and there you have it. That is absolutely spot on. Now if you notice, the spring is loading itself, and I like it when it does that, because when the sinker hits the water, it's spring loaded, it pops off. Seems to just help it pop off a little bit. That happens on a lot of rigs, I've noticed. Anyway, we've detached that little bit from the main rig. We'll go back to the bit that we've just cut when I held my left arm out to the left. And what we'll do is go back to the bar, and on the bottom part of the bar, where the bottom swivel is, we'll attach this mono. Again, we're just going to repeat the knot that you've just seen us do. 1, 2, 3. Through the bottom. 1, 2, 3. You know something, I've used this knot for years and years and years. It's never ever ever let me down yet. It's absolutely fantastic. That's where you are right now. Now just briefly why it's on my mind, a lad asked us, sent us an email a bit back, saying I was using 2 hook flappers a lot. I can't remember your name mate, but if you're watching this you probably know who you are. And he says that he's getting a lot of tangles up. Is there any way to avoid it? When I was running the Bagnell Hill and I was fishing up the River Weir a lot, Bagnell Hill was a competition I used to run, to try and avoid the tangle of 2 hook flappers, we used to always use a little piece of silicone tubing. There's some here. So get your silicone tubing, cut yourself, what's that, 2 inches, something like that, and slide the silicone tubing up the mono till you got to there, the swivel, put a little bit gob oil on it and slide the whole thing over, so you've now got that. And I always found that helped to kick it away from the rig body, if you like. It always worked for me, so hopefully that'll solve your little dilemma you've got there, mate. Anyway, so we've attached this to the bottom part of the Bagnell bar. We're now going to go to the other end and now attach that to the larger loop on the cascade swivel. Again, I don't want to sound repetitive, we're just going to repeat this knot. 2, let's count, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You should now have that neat and tidy and ready to rock and roll. So when we come to put this together, obviously that big swivel is going to go to your main line. We're going to clip the cascade swivel into that top swivel, like so. Clip that onto the imp and bring that together, and that's the way it would go out, like so. When that hits the water, and obviously that pops off, and that's the way your rig goes. It's as simple as that. And that, my friends, is the Bagnell Bar Rig. Now unfortunately this has come to the end of another Sandmans tackle time, so do me a favour and smash the living life out of that subscribe button. If you like us, give us a huge thumbs up. If you dislike us, and the haters will hate, give us a thumbs down. But you take care out there, be safe, and I'll see you all on the next episode of Sandmans Tackle Time. Tight line, guys.